What are you looking for? It's a question that we continue to be asked from our investors, from our networks. What is our appetite and why is our appetite that way? First and foremost, let's say we're in a post-coronavirus world right now. There's obviously some pain still to be felt, but largely, let's hope we're over the worst of it. I think the first assumption there is, okay, there's been pain. There's been pain felt by every level of age, every level of demographic. The government's obviously incurring huge amounts of debt to try and support the economy. There's businesses failing left, right, and centre. So there's pain out there. And when there is pain, I believe that investors tend towards safety. They start to forego and forfeit the high yield and they look towards investment vehicles that are safe. So answering that question is the most important. What is safe? So what we're experiencing at the moment is actually an enormous amount of interest in property. And I believe that's because it's a core asset class which is underpinned by land value. So what are some of the other things we're seeing out there and what's driving this appetite for investment property? I think it's a couple of things. Firstly, if you look at Australian bonds right now, as an opportunity to invest there, it's not that compelling right now. You've got a 2-year bond yield at 0.24%, 10-year bond rates at under 1%, about 0.86, I think, from memory. So not a fantastic environment for yield generation. Then you look at term deposits. What can someone generate in a term deposit right now? You know, maybe 1.25% if they're lucky. And then you look across the bandwidth of maybe some more riskier investments as, you know, shares, commodities, equities. And yes, there's some very significant returns that can be had there if you're sophisticated. So what we're seeing is that people who aren't sophisticated are wanting to place their money in an asset class which is underpinned by land value. We're lucky to be active participants in that asset class. But it's interesting how the investor mandate is changing. Whereas before they were very happy for us to select an asset and put it in front of them and say, hey guys, this is what we think you should invest in. That landscape is changing where the investors are now saying, we don't want X, we want Y. And it's really amazing to listen to that feedback. You know, if we just look at our website views, for instance, we would usually see a really even spread of interest across retail, office, and industrial. Let's compare that to last month where we saw 96% of our traffic citing our industrial investments page and only 4% citing our office investments page and not one single visitor to our retail investments page. Now you can see that's painting a landscape and we would be foolish not to lean into that and understand what's driving it. And I believe what's driving it is an appetite from investors towards primary asset classes. Investors are no longer happy to get into property. They want to get into property on their terms with primary assets in core locations that are tried and tested. So on this side of the fence, we've got to be really acknowledging of that and lean into that and understand it and then offer exactly what the investors want.